Hey everybody, my name is Eric Beach, and I'm excited to share this ongoing process of becoming an author or aspiring to become a published author. I don't really know when you become one, when you're a writer versus an author, once you're published, self-published, once you've started to write. I don't know when I can call myself an author, but that's the goal, right, is to get to that level. And along the way, there's going to be a lot of things that come up for me that I want to share with you, and that's the forum here. Today I want to talk about quality of writing and this fear that I've had for a long time of putting my work out in the public forum to be consumed, to be judged, to be appreciated, hopefully. And that issue stems from this idea that my writing style, my ability level, the stories I'm telling, while meaningful to me, might fall short of many people's expectation. And in fact, that's a guarantee they will. With the amount of people in the world, there's going to be a bunch that like it, right? And it's getting to those people and then trying to ignore the ones that aren't such a fan. And one of the problems I get myself into is I go out and I listen to other people review books that maybe I cared about or I'm interested in, or they talk about genres that I want to explore, whether that's fantasy, adventure, sci-fi, kind of dystopian types of novels, and they are very highbrow. They talk down or like, oh my God, I'm so tired of this making it. The bar of entry to novel writing is lowered. And that, gets in my head. Because one, I don't know where I fall on that line. I don't know where this person would place me in my writing ability. And honestly, it doesn't matter. Because what it does to my head is it makes me want to remove that option from that person by not putting myself out there, which is such a silly thing to do. But the fear in me that I just don't want to deal with that. I want to create, and if people want it, they want it. If they don't, they can move on, and that's it. I will take valid criticism from people I respect and care about to get better. That's part of the process. But there's so many people that honestly will never know me as a person, but will judge my work, whether that's movies I've made, whether that's writing I'm going to write, whether that's this Instagram page, this YouTube channel, whatever I've done is out there to be judged or appreciated or ignored. And I think that's all of us. But what I've realized recently, as I've been wrestling with this idea, is I don't like a lot of Oscar-nominated movies. When I was going to be a director, when I was going to be a screenwriter, and I was working on those things very actively, I went through and I was going to watch all of the Oscar winners ever, chosen. And when I started that list, I was very uninterested in most of the things that I was consuming, and it got to be laborious. Does that mean I'm not an artist? Does that mean I can't appreciate the finer things? No, I do appreciate some of those movies. I do appreciate some of the high art, but it gets to a certain point where it's almost too artistic for me. And does that mean that that person, that creator is bad? Not at all. It just means I'm not going to consume it or try to force myself to, much like I forced myself to enjoy alcohol when I was younger. I was told by someone that you have to just keep drinking beer until you like it, and eventually you will, and that was true. But I forced myself to like something that ultimately was very destructive for me in the future. And I think with art, it's the same way. If I force myself to be obsessed with this writer or be like, oh, everyone loves Tolkien, I have to love Tolkien and I have to love the Lord of the Rings books more than the movie. Well, unfortunately, that hasn't been the case for me, and I'm still working through The Hobbit again because as I grow, I start to understand the language, and I always respected what he had done in that series. But I have not been able to feel intelligent enough to fully grasp the greatness of his creation, but I can still respect it. And that's where I like to differentiate myself. And that's what I want all of us to get to, is a level where we can say, maybe I don't get it, but I respect it, or at least I'm not going to bash it. Because so much of what I've seen too, I'm like, I can write better than that. I can make a better movie, yet I can't. I'm not the one doing it. There's relationships that play into that, sure, but there's also the reality that I still like Hallmark movies. I still like the really cheesy, predictable Christmas movies, and it's something that is a guilty pleasure for me. I think that the reality TV series, the fact that they exist, shows that we like guilty pleasures, and not everything has to be high art, because sometimes we don't want to think, we just want to feel and just be along for it and be ridiculous. But on the same token, there's been some really bad movies where I just am like a gap. My mouth is open being like, why did someone invest money in this? But my job is not to then go out and find those people and bash them, of course. But I can say there's a place for everyone in this industry. I just have to find mine. So the fact that I tried to go through publishers and get signed by an agent a few years ago when I finished The Red King, and the rejections, I have a list just of 50 rejections, doesn't mean I should have stopped. But in that moment it did, because I wasn't in the right frame of mind to keep going. I had to figure some things out for myself. I had to go and grow somewhere else to then come back to the Red King now and realize that I did put it through a round of editing with a professional editor. I can put it out there to be consumed self-publish wise, whether it's on Amazon Direct, some ebook, whether it's free or 99 cents, or I can go for the app Wattpad actually, and put it out there for people to maybe find and critique and enjoy, hopefully. And then as that grows, maybe I can re-release in some capacity, and I do plan to release the Red King Book 1 soon. I'm going to work on book art, the cover art, and it will be released in some capacity. I'm going through another round of edits. Draft 5 will become Draft 6, and then it should be consumable by you guys, and I hope you'll check it out just to kind of see what my writing style is, because it might be the first real body of work that you guys can take a look at and see if my writing style matches with what you like, even if the topic, the material might not be, because it is dystopian. It's a story of two brothers who were part of an elite special forces type unit in the future, and when they come back to America after a 4-year deployment to the Middle East, they find that the America they knew has been taken over by the president, who suspended democracy and now created a monarchy and named the country the Union. And the brothers are so desperate to just leave all of that government nonsense behind that they willfully give up and give into this new Union ideology until they can't. And it's the decision, do I allow the government to sort of do everything for me and just have a life of ease where I don't think, or is the person I am not able to look past a wrongdoing, and am I going to give up that security, that safety, and go to do what's right because I know it's right, or not? So it explores all of that, and I don't know, I think it's a fun way. It's a little bit sci-fi, not crazy sci-fi, but there is some technology kind of things that make it where some people don't like that kind of stuff. But everything I write, I try and thread the needle between high fantasy and realism and science fiction, but also I can see this, it's about expanding worlds. And is that what people are going to want? I don't know. One thing I've realized is I'm not writing the books that I want to read. And that was like a thought that was told to many people, is if you don't see it in the market and you want it in the market, go make it. I've been writing what I want to write. And I'm hoping and believing, because honestly, if it's authentic expression for me, there's an audience for it. If it's authentic expression from you, there's also an audience for it. And on the original topic, to kind of bring it back to center, not every book I read needs to have these amazing prose and flowering language. In fact, some of those books I don't really like. I like accessible language that challenges you a bit, but it's a lot more easy to consume. And to talk about The Hobbit, sometimes I have to really think about the words, and that's what people want, right? That's not a knock. That's just saying I struggle with the forcing myself to really sit and think. I want to cruise through it to a degree and enjoy it as it unfolds. And I just don't have the capacity to necessarily do it. So I'm slowly working through that series as I read other things like Of Blood and Fire, the first book in the Bound and the Broken series, which Ryan Cahill has written a really lovely book so far. I'm nearing the end, so we're getting pretty close, and I've enjoyed it, and I'll be getting the next book next, and I'll be switching to the Dark Elf trilogy, book number 2 in that Dark Elf trilogy, Exile. So that's going to be next. And then after that book, I'm going to John Gwynne, and I'm going to be starting The Shadow of Gods, this little beauty here. So I'm excited about this, being Scandinavian in my history. This is going to be an interesting take. I've never read a book quite like that, so I'm excited there. So I don't know what I'm going to find in some of those books, in that one specifically, but I'm really trying to find the writing styles that I enjoy. And that might be high prose, that might be poetic language, that might be deeply descriptive, that might be amazing action sequences. I don't know, but I've read different things that I've enjoyed, whether it was high language or more accessible. I consider this to be a lot more accessible language, so I can read it, and I've cruised through that pretty well, and that's fun. That's fun for me. It's a good story, and I can digest it as I'm going without having to give it much thought. Like, I appreciate that. But in movies, I can appreciate the performance of an actor, but not like the movie. I can be like, that was brilliant, but the whole concept of the show, the movie, whatever, I didn't really land on me, And then some I can not really even be blown away by the acting, but the whole thing just worked, so I enjoyed it as well. And then I can go too artistic, and I can be lost the whole time and never feel like I get my footing. So I have a very specific window that works for me, and so do you. And I have to accept that that's okay. Otherwise, I'm not going to create anything. I'm not going to release anything. And I'm at that point in my life where I need to release my work into the public because I'm 41 now. I'm not getting any younger. And that's not like the ticking clock because there's still a lot of time on the clock, and I will make this happen, but I can't make it happen if I don't risk it. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to handle the negativity, the blowback of not appreciating what I've done, and maybe, the one negative comment to the 100 positive comments, as I've heard a lot of authors talk about, and creatives in general. I mean, if you're a creative, I feel you. I feel this pain, this fear, but I also feel this calling, and that if the creativity stays inside of us, it becomes poison instead of creation. So we have to. In the past, I've worked with creatives to try and be like a wellness coach with them, because resiliency training isn't what I do. It's more about just being in a safe container where we can express and then empower ourselves, not be a victim, but to be empowered and go back out and do what we need to do. But for creatives especially, we need to outpour emotion, perhaps a lot higher than our non-creative compatriots. Not that we aren't all creative, because we are, because creativity is seeing things as they could be, not just as they are. So you are creative. I am creative. No matter if you're an artist or an accountant, you are creative. It's just we kind of get a skewed idea, which we can talk about another time, of what creativity really means. Organizing a closet is creativity, okay? Scheduling your college schedule to optimize your travel time, that's creativity. You're seeing things as they could be, not as they are, and not being limited by them. Not being limited by reality that is adjustable. And you're also a storyteller, because we're always trying to understand the world, the situation, the environment, so that it makes sense to us, and we will fill in the gaps. Whether we're reading a book or walking through a crowd that makes us nervous, we are filling in the gaps to tell ourselves a whole story. So you're a storyteller, I'm a storyteller, and we're here, hopefully, through this relationship we're developing, allowing ourselves to write the best life story possible. So stick around. A lot more to come as we go on this journey together. But until next time, journey well, my friends.